All right, welcome everybody. Just to remind you what our plan for the evening is, we've done some mingling. Hopefully you talked to someone and maybe you even met somebody. Hopefully you talked with somebody and met somebody you didn't know. I'm calling the meeting to order. We have a jam-packed meeting. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about our board of our Cherry Creek Driving Park Historic District Board. And I want to introduce you to the board members that are here. Some are here, some are not here. We'll start with Ann Atkinson. Some of you know Ann. She is our vice president. She is not in attendance tonight. Casey, we stand up, is in the back. She's our secretary. Rick is also standing in the back, and he's our treasurer, and he's been collecting money. Patricia Peterson, representing Marion Street, is not here tonight. She's in another class. Lauren Nichols is not here, but she might come because she lives across the street. Nicole Nice is right in the middle of the room there. John Angelo is over here. Lisa McLaughlin. Lisa. Yes. Laura Blodgett. Charlotte Ward is not in attendance. Barbara Hopper is not in attendance. Jane Olivier is in the very back. Sydney McGinnis has a business event that she had to go to tonight. Clark Crawford is right here. If he's taking your picture, it's because we want to have a few pictures of the meeting. We also have Alyssa Lau, who is not here, and Christina Romano, who is planning to attend via Zoom. Lydia Ibren, who is not here. And then our former members, one of them is actually here. Robin Benkert actually moved down to Parker, so she is not here. And another former member who is not here, but I want to acknowledge, is Stockton Baker. Stockton has been the president in the past. He's done a lot for our neighborhood, and he was happy to be relieved from his Humboldt Street responsibilities by Laura Blodgett. That's our board. And I'm happy to say that everybody has agreed to stay on through 2025. So we'll be voting on that in a moment. Each year we have an initiative, and our initiative this year has been community and safety. And with regards to safety, you're going to hear more from our Denver Police Community Resource Officers who are speaking next. But we live in a pretty safe neighborhood. Even so, crime happens in safe neighborhoods. And so we're going to hear more tonight about crime prevention, and we're going to talk about how we can make our neighborhood even safer. And certainly part of a safe neighborhood is a neighborhood that has a tight-knit community. And so that's the other part of our goal for this, or our initiative for this year. And to talk about community membership, and I'm going to bring up Laura Blodgett. She's going to talk a little bit about membership, what we've been doing, and then we'll get on with the rest of it.
Hi, as she said, my name is Laura Blodgett. I live in the 400 block of Humboldt. My husband and I moved here in 2015. I joined the board this summer, and the first thing I asked Betsy was, can we start a membership committee? And she's like, sure. So I have 2 members on my committee now, Lauren and Casey, and we've been brainstorming about ways we can get people to join. I think I lived here for a long time and never knew it even existed. So I think we're just trying to develop the community, make people aware. So anyone who wants to join the committee is welcome to help us brainstorm ideas of things we can do. So a few stats about the neighborhood. We have 409 doors in our neighborhood. We currently have approximately 156 emails collected. And before the meeting today, we only had 26 people who've actually joined for the 2024-25 fiscal year. After tonight, we should have a lot more. But I think, we should be able to get more people than that with 409 doors in the neighborhood. So our goal for the membership committee is to make everyone aware of our existence and to try and get them to join. And so one of our first things that we did is we started a private Facebook group. And it's only for people in the neighborhood. There's a few questions you have to ask or answer once you are invited to join or request to join. And we are hoping it can be used kind of as our own little next door. People can use it to ask questions, get recommendations, lost pets. Just we hopefully can use it for suspicious activity that might be going on, making people aware of what's happening in the neighborhood. So we're hoping to get people active on that, get as many people, even if they're not in the association, we can, or the driving park group, we can get them to join the Facebook group just as a communicative tool. We can post events and activities out there. So you might ask, what is the benefit of joining the Driving Park Historic District group? So we have some social activities. We had a Noble Coffee happy hour. It was after Noble closed. And I don't know if you knew, but Noble has a liquor license. I didn't know that. So they provided cocktails and beer and wine, and we had a lot of people come. It was a real nice activity. We're going to do it again in the first part of November for anybody who's part of the neighborhood group. We also have an annual picnic coming up on Saturday, October 12th from 3 to 5. It's going to be in front of 1727 4th Avenue. That's out in the street in front of that house. We have games for the kids. Henry, the hot dog guy, is going to be there. There'll be complimentary hot dogs. We'll provide non-alcoholic beverages and snacks. If you, just as a note, if you want to sit down, bring your own chair. And if you want to drink alcohol, you're going to have to bring your own alcohol. I did hear last year they had a beer bin that people donated beer to, and then you could take beer out of if you wanted to drink it. So that will probably be available again next in October when we have our picnic. Some of the other benefits, we have a neighborhood book club. We meet once a month at people's homes. We bring snacks and people bring wine and drinks, and we talk about books. It's been a great way to get to know people. And then we are also going to be ramping up a neighborhood watch program with some training and stuff. So all of that stuff will be part of joining Driving Park. It will be available to people who don't want to join too. So you can go to drivingpark.org if you haven't joined, which most of the people here have, but if you have neighbors, let them know. And it's $25 for a family, $15 for an individual. And you can also, if you go to drivingpark.org, there's a link to our Facebook group that you can also request to be added. And as administrators, we try to police who's actually in the neighborhood. We don't want anybody from outside the neighborhood in our group, and your information won't be shared. And one other thing I forgot to mention, at the picnic, we are going to have some shredding bins that are going to be available complimentary. So if you have shredding you want to bring, small tax returns, documents you've been hanging on to, they're locked and private. Nobody will be able to see your information. And if you don't want to bring it to the picnic, we're going to have it in locations in the neighborhood for a couple weeks after that. So we'll let you know where that access is. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And now, in the spirit of community, I want to bring up Birgit Schaefer. She spoke briefly last year as well, and she has a really fun studio that she's going to tell you about. And I just have to tell you that I have been there and I had a really good time. So next is Bridget.
Birgit.
Well, I said that wrong. Birgit.
Actually, you did that right, because with a name like Birgit, I like to go by B. So thank you very much for that introduction. Yeah, I just very casually here have my little detached garage. on the 400 block of High Street, where I live next to my mother. And I've kind of converted that into sort of a creative space. And then my idea is it's a place for people to gather. And it's not so much about what we create, although that's fun. And we make usable, nice items in there, but it's more about the fellowship, sitting around a table, doing something together, kind of like Coffee Clutch used to be. There's something that happens to our brains and our social abilities when we're busy doing something. So I have found that in workshops I've led in other places. So that's my idea. I have a little flyer in the back. I'm trying to do something with Facebook on this so people can see what the projects are and workshops that are going on. However, I have not figured that out very well. But on the flyer, I have my cell phone number. You're welcome to text me. And also I have an email. You're welcome to email me. If you want to be included in notices of upcoming workshops, please let me know and I'll make sure to add you. And that's about it. Thank you.
It really is fun. I made the cutest little cards. There were these little cards, they were really cute. Now it is time to vote for our, oh, here's another one of our board members, Lydia. Wave. So now it's, what we're going to do is vote for our 2025 board. Now, when Laura was talking about the membership, it's dues paying members who vote for the board. So if you want to vote for the board, then pay your dues or else promise to pay your dues. And if you don't, that's fine as well. So I am going to entertain a motion to approve the 2025 board. Somebody. Nicole, nice, made a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second from Laura. And now tell me, all in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? Raise your hand. Abstain? Raise your hand. Okay, the board, the 2025 board has now been officially approved. And we're right on time. Our next speakers, and there are two of them, are our Denver Police Community Resource Officers. If you've been to one of these events before, you know, you've heard of, you've at least met Kate because she's been with us for a long time. They're an amazing resource, so I am just going to turn it over to them. Please welcome Kate Young and Manny Fuentes.
All right, thanks for having us. I'm Kate Young, and I've been your CRO for about 4.5 years now, so I see a lot of familiar faces. And I'll let Manny introduce himself. Want to do that now or when you do your thing?
I'll do it after.
Okay. We'll get through stats and then I'll switch it over to Manny and he can tell you a little about himself. So when we do these meetings, as always, we go over crime stats. We cover some historic driving park specifics. Keep in mind when we're going over the crime stats, it's for the statistical neighborhood of Country Club. So overall, your crime is down 38.82%. And that's based on the 3-year average. When we look at that, property crime is down 49%. Other crimes, including white collar crimes, public disorder, that's down 21%. And then violent crime is actually up 110%, but don't freak out, don't panic. Because when we look at percents, when you have next to nothing happen in a neighborhood, one thing can alter a statistic percentage pretty dramatically. And so when we looked at why that was so far up, looked like there was one person who committed an indecent exposure in the neighborhood and somebody called 911 right away and they were arrested a block away. So that was great to see that they were so proactive on that. And then there was actually a robbery that's in the statistics that shows it happened in historic driving park, but it did not happen even in this district. There's just a flaw with the statistics. So you guys are actually way better than it looks. And so then when we look at property crime, overall, just for the historic driving park blocks, you guys had 5 burglaries, And most of them involved unlocked apparatuses. So we had an unlocked side gates, then they attempted to break in to a house on their windows and the garage. Nothing was taken, but they did cause damage. We had an unlock back gate that was reported online. We had another incident where a suspect broke a window in a garage, but a neighbor saw it and called 911. That person unfortunately fled. Then we had an open garage and a vehicle with the keys left inside, and the vehicle was then stolen. But the good news is the vehicle was recovered and that person was actually arrested in that stolen vehicle. And then let's see, lastly, with burglaries, we did have somebody reach through a doggy door and unlock a door. The homeowner was home, called 911, and that suspect was arrested on the same block. So just a reminder, we remind everybody at all of our neighborhood watch trainings, if you have a doggy door, please secure them. Garage doors, please lock your garage doors. And when we talk about that, we mean the overhead garage doors and also the pedestrian doors. And then also another reminder, if you have the clickers for your garage door, please take those out of your car and off your visor. Those are a huge theft item. The other property crime, we had 5 theft for motor vehicles, and all of them were crimes of opportunity. So valuables left in cars were 3 of them. And then 1 of them was, or sorry, 2 of them were rear license plates. So just a reminder, I know I've told you guys this for 3 years now, we have anti-theft license plate screws at the station. We are happy to swap that out for you. And then let's see, lastly, theft. We had 4 thefts. One was somebody stole from another person, and that person they were known to each other. We did have a bike stolen from an open garage. It was an online report, should have been a burglary. And then a fraudulent charge on a compromised credit card. And yeah, two of the items were known suspects to the victim. So that's what we have going on as far as stats. I will kick it over to Manny to do intros and some events we have coming up, and then we'll answer some questions.
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? Good. Can you all hear me in the back? All right, I'm Officer Puentes. Everyone just calls me Manny. I've been a Denver police officer for 7 years. And I came to the CRO team in March. I feel like a rookie all over again because I have my work cut out for me. I'm just learning everything. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. In the flyers in the back, all of my information is on there, my email and my desk number. So a little bit of experience. I worked in Vice, the DAT unit, been on patrol the entire time. I'm also a training officer for our recruits coming in. So I know a little bit more about the road than most, but if you have any questions about that or what's going on in your neighborhood, I'm more than happy to help you. Some of the events coming up, we have our neighborhood watch training, and that's tomorrow at the District 3 station. That's off of University and I-25. That's at 6 p.m. We also have Coffee with the Cops the first Wednesday of every month from 10 to noon at Nixon's at 695 East Louisiana Avenue. The flyers are also in the back, so if you forget, there's copies over there. We have the District 3 cab meeting Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Oh, first Wednesdays at 6 p.m. The next one at District 3 is going to be October 2nd, and we're going to have a guest speaker from Urban Peak. If you guys aren't familiar with Urban Peak, there are our youth shelter that we have, and that's off of Broadway in Iowa. So we also have a Hero Fest October 5th from noon to 4. And that's going to be at First and University in the northwest corner of Old Bed Bath and Beyond. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm getting tongue twisted here. And then we also have our 3rd annual District 3 Halloween Carnival on October 27th from 1 to 3. A lot of events coming up. If I know that was kind of a lot. If you guys have any questions about it or want copies of the flyers or anything, feel free to reach out to me and Kate, and we'll get a copy to you.
We also send them electronically to Betsy.
And we also send them electronically to Betsy, so she has them as well. And with that being said, does anybody before we have questions? I know that we were talking about Facebook, and one of the things is it's great when community members are talking to each other about what's going on. The only thing I would say that's bad about that is we don't know what's going on. So when community members say that it's suspicious on Facebook and then we don't call the police, we don't know what's going on. So what we stress is that every community member, if they see something suspicious, remember, people aren't suspicious, their actions are. We want you to call that in. And the reason for that is because we're a data-oriented police department. So when we call those in and we start seeing calls coming in and crime going up, then we try to kind of look at it as a doctor would or as a surgeon would. We try to decipher what's actually going on and where we can implement those resources. So please, I know that talking to your neighbor is very good, but we really want you to either call into the non-emergent line if it's not an in-progress call, and 911 if it is an in-progress crime happening. So just that being said, does anyone have any questions for me or Kate? No?
Okay, can I ask a question here virtually? Can you hear me, Manny?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a
Oh,
virtual.
I think they're getting a question on the computer. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so virtual question. Hey, Manny, thanks so much. Appreciate all your help first and foremost. I mentioned this last year, and I know Kate had addressed it, but speeding along 6th Avenue. We live just a couple houses off of 6th Avenue. And I regularly see people driving 60, 70 miles an hour down the street. There's a stoplight at Gilpin and people see how fast they can go 0 to 60 to get to the stoplight at University there. Sometimes you guys have the van that takes people's picture, but want to see if we could get more enforcement there and actually, maybe a police officer, for a speed trap to truly stop people, because the van is just like a temporary deterrent, and then just people gun it right after that.
Yeah.
Repeat the question before you answer.
Yeah. So the question was that there was a lot of speeding on 6th Avenue between the cross street is Gilpin, correct? So people seem to be driving 60 miles an hour, and he was asking if there could be some sort of enforcement, the photo radar, anything like that. And the way that we do that is we have these speed signs, right? Have you guys seen all the electronic speed signs that we have? Well, that generates, it's not just a speed sign, that generates data for us. So we'll leave that there for a week or two because we need to know when it's happening and how fast people are going and when we can implement those resources. So if something like you want us to put that speed sign up to gather that data, then give us a call or shoot us an email. We'll be happy to put those up. We can see if photo radar can go, but once we gather all that data, we send it over to the traffic unit, and then the traffic unit knows when to be out there, and then they can start enforcing at the right times.
And then just to tag on that, anybody can request the photo radar ban in an area. Whether or not it meets the criteria for where they can be is a whole different story. But if you go to the denvergov.org site and put in photo radar ban, it'll give you their email address. So just give them direction of travel on the street that you want. Obviously 6th is one way, but just the more information you can give them, the better.
Got it?
Right, yep, thank you.
All right.
I think every street's a racetrack right now. I live out by Bandamere, and they closed it because the racing is happening on 470 and 285.
I think we wanted to talk about flock.
Maybe repeat it so the online people.
The question was to kind of elaborate about our new flock system camera. And so the ACT team is very, very familiar with it, but the gist of it is we put these cameras up, and what they do is they read license plates, and they can tell us what's associated with that license plate and send that information back to patrolman's cell phone or the ACT team cell phone. So that way we can have a live feed on it. And when we put those in different places, it's a live feed on where they're going and what they're doing. Now, it doesn't just read license plates. It also reads features of vehicles. So if you have a stolen vehicle where someone has a sticker on the bottom and then they remove the license plate, it also has those features, and then it can tell if that vehicle is a stolen vehicle or not, just by the association with that. And the last direction they're traveling, and it's very, very fast in the way that it sends out those notifications. Now, our Denver District 3 ACT team is live with that, and they receive notifications all the time. And as soon as they get it, they're on it, and then they try to pinpoint where it's at, and then they use their strategies in order to get that. And it's also has to do with, we can implement it to where we can just look at stolen vehicles. We can look if we're looking for a felony suspect or anything like that. So we're starting to get more and more of those cameras. as we go along. So I'm just not gonna tell you where they're at. So. I'm not gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that in the first 4 months that they were working, they had, the police had 46 arrests,
Mhm.
which is huge. So they're very successful. There are a new tool that we never used in the city before that are really working well and helping us work.
And I will say that if you do have your vehicle stolen and you find out that maybe you just misparked it and then recovered it, or you found your car, please let us know that you found it so you don't pop up on our flock system and we pull you over, because that has happened.
yeah. So. Question?
Sir,
Speed, so I've seen there's laws in the books about the ways of cars that allow them to be, but I imagine that's very hard to enforce. Is any enforcement going on with that at all? Because there are just 4 a.m. motorcycles and cars that break up that into the bumper. They're going like 60.
Okay. So for those of you online, the question was if, for the noise as far as cars traveling down the street, if there was a certain enforcement for the decibel or anything like that. So there is a law on the certain decibels that you have, but none of us have the equipment to read the decibels. So the laws that we go through is if a person calls in, then we go for something like disturbing the peace. So if it's right in front of your neighborhood or you hear it or something like that, give us a call. But one thing that we want you to do is say yes to caller contact, so that way the officer can follow through with it. Because us as police officers, our peace can't be disturbed. So if someone calls in and they say, I don't want any contact, I don't want to have anything to do with it, it's not going to be enforced because we have no backbone to go off of. So if you do call in a noise complaint or loud mufflers or anything like that, we want you to call it in, ask for caller contact, and if you're willing to sign a complaint so that way we can cite them. Okay.
any other questions?
Okay.
All right, thanks for having us.
I just want to do a little question for all of you. How many of you have been impacted personally by crime sometime in your life? Raise your hand.
Yes.
Say 2/3 of the people in the room, and I'm sure that many of our Zoom listeners have had the same experience. I've been impacted personally by crime a couple of different times. The one I'm going to share with you right now is when I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was a kid, I was a hippie, I was living in an apartment, and my apartment was robbed in broad daylight. And we had a detective come and work with us. And this is back in the 70s, so there were fewer people in the world. But he did some investigation and he went across the street and talked to my neighbor. My neighbor, who I didn't know, sat on the porch and watched the whole thing. And she did not report it to the police because we were hippies and she didn't like that we were living there. Now we moved, but she stayed. And so her silence just made her neighborhood a little more dangerous. So what I have here is a clipboard, and it's all about neighborhood watch. We have a neighborhood watch, but we have a lot of people that haven't had neighborhood watch training, so we want to do it. And I am going to pass this around and it's real easy to fill out. You just put your name. We probably have your contact info if you checked in. If you think we don't, put your email address or phone number on the comments. Best to do email address. And then just check what meeting type. Do you prefer Zoom? Do you prefer live? Do you not care? Check both of them. And which evenings of the week are best for you. It shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds to fill it out. It shouldn't be too distracting for our next speaker, who I'm about to introduce. So I'm going to start with Aaron. That's my neighborhood watch pitch. It's really important, it's really effective, and you learn a lot. And I think it's time for us to have some more meetings about that. Our next speaker is Sergeant Stephen Kimberly from the DPD Fraud Unit. I heard Sergeant Kimberly speak at a CAB meeting that Manny mentioned the CAB meeting, and a CAB meeting is, I think it stands for Community Action Board, something like that. Anyways, they meet once a month, about 10 months out of the year at the District 3 station. And the presentation is about an hour, hour and a half. They have a speaker and a different speaker each time, and then they address crime. And it's also a really good time to meet and greet with your CROs. I always get to have a chat with Kate when I go. And actually one time, another one of my crime incidents was a woman showed up on my front porch and told me that she had been raped. That's a whole nother story, but she was ultimately taken away and somewhere. And I was able to talk to Kate about that the next week to find out kind of what had happened to it. So it made me feel good that the woman was just really disturbed, and she hadn't really been raped on the corner of Sixth and Lafayette, but that's what she had said. Anyways, it's useful to go to CAB meetings, and everybody is welcome. So we'll put the flyers, all the flyers that they brought, they provided for me in digital format. So you guys who aren't here and can't get the flyers will have access to it online when I get it posted on the website. Sergeant Kimberly, where is he? Oh, I just want to say that I heard him speak at the CAB meeting, and I learned a lot about the most preventable crimes, scams, and I am so pleased that you're here to talk, because the information that I learned from you was so valuable. So please welcome up Sergeant Stephen Kimberly.
Thank you. Hi, guys. Steve Kimberly. I work in the Denver Police Fraud Unit. She mentioned the CAB meeting. I spoke at that one briefly about the scam of the day, which continues to be that, which is an imposter scam. I'm happy that I got to come this week because another one's making their rounds, and we've got several reports from this area, this neighborhood, and sorry. We've got several of these reports from this neighborhood over the last week or so. People getting victimized here. And how many of you guys shop at 560 Corona at Safeway ever? Okay, very close by. And they've been scammers, international scammers have been using that place to rip you guys off and your neighbors off. So that's why it was fitting that I came here today, because that's one of the hot places there collecting your money. So if you guys have heard me talk before, this might sound redundant, but I'm going to just really quickly tell you a few things. I don't have a ton of time with you guys today. As was just mentioned, the most preventable crime in the world is scams. You cannot help it. If you walk out of your backyard and somebody clubs you over the head and takes your purse, that's really nothing you can do about that. That's terrible, but not preventable. Scams, very, very preventable, 100% preventable. Especially the telephone type scams and the computer type scams that I want to talk about. So just a quick background on the magnitude of this. Last year, and this is, mind you, I'm going to start off by saying 1 in 4 scams they think are reported, just like sex assaults often go unreported due to embarrassment or shame or fear. So keep in mind, 1 in 4 scams are reported to the police, and my fellow officers earlier said we're data driven. So when they're not reported, we don't really know the true numbers, but in 2023, 490,000 imposter scams were reported to the FTC alone. And that a lot of people that report to their local police don't report it to them. So that's just a small fraction, but it's 490,000 resulting in $1.1
billion, and that's just what was reported. So if you can multiply that out, that's billions of dollars that was preventatively lost. So how many people get calls from people they don't know, robocalls, scam calls, texts, emails, all the time? Well, I do too. They say that the average cell phone user in a month, smartphone owner, will get 42 spam texts and 28 spam calls a month. They numbers pop up from all kinds of places. They look local, like Keensburg, Colorado is a big one. Allens Park, Colorado. I get a lot of them from Keensburg. Keensburg you'll see those. And have you ever heard of Keensburg? It's a dinky little town, kind of up by Fort Lupton area. There's nothing there. Cheney Reservoir, Kansas, same thing. No one's ever heard of it. But those are the epicenters for these robo scam calls that you receive. When you see Keensburg, that is an international rerouting service that's in Keensburg. So when people buy VoIP telephone numbers, the scammers, anywhere in the world, they'll route them a lot of times through Keensburg or Cheney Reservoir. I'd invite you guys to Google Cheney Reservoir, Kansas sometime. Last I looked, there was over 600 million IP addresses that come out of Cheney Reservoir, and no one really lives there. And it's picked that way because it's the geographic center of the lower 48. So whenever they have a international strange IP address that has a US assignment, they just put it there when it's like undetermined. So that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with international organized crime. They call them scam syndicates. This isn't just somebody who got your phone number and decides we're going to play a joke and try to get some money. This is international organized crime that is hitting you and your neighbors. So that's just so you kind of know what we're dealing with. I'll touch really quick on the imposter scams once again, and then I want to get into this newest one. Today I got about 4 or 5 of them just in the fraud unit, and they're just people's calling and telling you they're the police. And today they didn't only use Denver. It's weird. Usually in Denver, they call and say they're the Denver police, but today I had them from Boulder, Douglas, and Jefferson County, and one Denver, saying they're a law enforcement from there. You missed jury duty or you have a warrant for some reason, you need to pay us right now. Okay. They say scams, through my research, are most effective on people who have sustained some kind of a tragedy in their life or some kind of a major turn in their life, like a death or a divorce or a job loss or something within the last 12 months. They're not targeting you. They don't know that. But those are the people that studies show, research shows, fall for it more often. It's not really an age thing. They talk about, the elderly population or the kids. It's really not that. There are certain types of scams that certain populations are more vulnerable to, but in general, it's people that have suffered some kind of a trauma. It doesn't even need to be that big, but it's some type of a trauma because they are already kind of on edge. And the whole basis of all scams over the phone or computers, catch you off guard, make a sense of urgency and panic, because we don't think our best in times of urgency and panic, right? So they'll tell them they're going to go to jail. There's a sense of urgency and panic. They throw a little officialness salt on it by saying they're the cops. Most people want to do what authority tells them to do, so they're kind of hooked, and they won't allow them to get off the phone. They direct them where to go so that they're away from their house to talk to people that might give them good advice. They won't let them get off the phone because they don't want them to call someone else that might give them good advice. Some of these calls I repeat or I read just from, and people that I talk to, people in this neighborhood, this district, District 4, whatever, they'll be on the phone up to 6 hours with these people. Okay, 6 hours with these people. And they will tell them what to lie, what bank to go to, what to lie to the bank teller about, why you're getting this money, where to go put your money. When I started in the fraud unit, it was wire transfers, Western Union, MoneyGram. Now it's cryptocurrency. Okay. And that's where 560 Corona comes in. So remember your Safeway down the street. I have had in this neighborhood in the last probably month, way into the hundreds of thousands of dollars of loss. Throughout a lot of people. And they will say that ruse I just gave you, and they'll direct them down to go pay off the warrant that they have for missing jury duty, a summons they never received. Thousands of dollars in crypto, and most people aren't very astute in crypto. But the Coinstar machines in the Safeways and a lot of grocery stores, have you seen those? They first started out where you could take your kid's piggy bank and dump the coins in there, and for 10%, they'll give you bills. Okay, would still do that, but now you can buy cryptocurrencies directly right there. So they will direct them there with a QR code or a different code they supply over the phone, and have them load their money that they lied to their bank teller about getting out into these machines. And when I talk about how good they are at knocking you off your foundation and making you afraid and urgent, those machines, I visited almost all of them, including 560 Corona and Alameda and Broadway. Before you can conduct a cryptocurrency transaction, you have to hit the screen. The first screen that you hit, it comes up with a big warning that tells just about the scam. It says, hey, if you are being asked to buy crypto, convert cash to crypto, by someone saying they're law enforcement or from the power company, and it lists several of them, don't do this because you're getting scammed. And the machine here on Corona will then give you a direct prompt to push a button to say, I'd like to report a scam now, and it'll tell you what to do. But people get so freaked out, they won't do it. One of the machines I went to, it was $500 max, and they put 14,000 bucks in there. So 28 times you're saying, no, you're missing that. So then it'll take you to the next screen. It'll talk more about, hey, listen, if you put money in here, your money is gone right now. It's an instant transaction, untraceable for the most part, and non-reversible. So you've gone through being warned about scam to you're not getting your money back. And they'll bypass that and feed their money in there to not go to jail for jury duty, which doesn't happen. It's not a thing. So remember that. Has anybody talked to any of their friends? Switching to the next one. Has anyone talked to any of their friends or heard about these ransom emails that are coming out lately? Okay, well, good. You're lucky. But you're also lucky that I'm here in case you do. My partner, Sergeant Tracy Love, who works in the elder abuse side of the fraud unit, has received 2 of these in the time we're sitting next to each other working. We're reading these kind of cases, and he's getting the emails. Yes, that's just the classification of scam, but basically it's a online blackmail scam. So I'm sorry, I cannot make these print any better because these are from actual cases. But what I'm showing you here is basically an email, and this is from one of our victims here. And it's the same one my partner received and a bunch of other people. An email will come up and it'll show a grainy, not very good picture of your house. Okay. They just get that open source. It's not scientific. They just get it off Google Earth, Google Maps, screenshot it, and put it here. That's just to add to the legitimacy of the ruse. So they start off with a message where years past, scams evolve. That's why I find it interesting. You've all heard of those old Nigerian romance scams, and you get this poorly written, terribly translated letter saying how this betrothed prince is going to bequeath this money on you. And nobody talks like that. And it's horribly written and obvious scam. Well, AI is here now. Okay. So these scammers use AI, and it not only translates it beautifully because they're not here, but it also writes a nice letter. They'll put in what they want in whatever language they're speaking, and it'll come out to a very nice letter in nice English that we actually use in the dialect that we're used to speaking in. So in a nutshell, they blasted these out all over the country, lots of them in Denver, telling them, hey, listen, If you're receiving this, sit down and relax, get yourself comfortable, because I'm going to give you some horrible news. We have installed Pegasus tracking software in all of your devices. It's given us the opportunity to remote into your computer and your cell phone and watch all of your browsing history, and we can turn on your mic and we can turn on your camera, and we have done that. And we have noticed that you've visited terrible websites and you've done terrible things with your partner and yourself and every other way possible. And we have all that on video, crystal clear, and we are going to share that with all your contacts, everyone you know. And it will say, it'll give a nice question, what should I do? And then it's almost like an instruction thing, like you're building an IKEA chair. And it'll say, what should I do? And it'll say, you've got two choices. One, you can ignore this, and we are gonna unleash HELL on you with showing these terrible images of you and ruin your life. And we are never gonna stop doing it. Option two, you can happily pay us and we'll resolve this. So they give you the little QR code on the email to go down to the Safeway and get all your money out of your bank and go beep and put it in there, and it's gone forever in cyber world. So this freaks people out because they're like, oh my gosh, they have my phone. They give them little, just like a fortune teller, like Miss Cleo, they can always say, so you're looking for love. But yeah, okay. Then they just feel, the general question that if you're looking for a ghost, you'll find one. They'll give people just a little bit of stuff. They'll comment general stuff about a room or something like that to make it look like that they know what your room looks like. And this is kind of believable, but it's not. People wonder how they get this and they feel so violated. And I try to talk them off the ledge by letting them know that in 2023, 353 million people were affected by data breaches that they know of. And remember, just in the news a couple of months ago, over 100 million people here. So these data breaches, they get all this info on you, whatever info that you feed into the computers when you're buying things or applying for loans or applying for memberships or anything else. When that gets hit, they've got all this stuff. Okay. So they have all the open source stuff, your voter records. They'll show you where you live. Then they can get your house on Zillow or whatever. Go put pictures. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it freaks people out. So in a nutshell, if you just don't click on anything, don't play ball when you answer the phone, when it's somebody calling. AI again. When they call these, remember the old, I've probably talked about it before, but we've all read about it. It's been around so long, the grandparent scam, where they used to just call and say, grandma, who? Grandma, is this Johnny? Yeah, it's Johnny. Yeah. And then they go down the road from there. Now they use AI, and you're all connected with whatever your family or friends post. So they can go on and watch a YouTube reel, and then they AI it to say whatever they want. And they can call you and say, you know what, Grandma, I'm in trouble. And it sounds like your granddaughter. So they're very good at this. And again, this is organized crime. So don't answer those phone calls you don't know, because these guys don't leave messages generally. Sometimes they do. And if they do, laugh at it and don't call them back. Anything like this, they send pictures of your house. They tell you this, that, the other. They don't know where you live. They may know your address, but they're not here. They're going to have to take 24 hours of flights to get to you in most cases, and they are not trying to. This is just blanket stuff, okay? So anybody in the whole world that asks you for any kind of cryptocurrency, don't give it to them. Okay, no cops want crypto, no businesses want it. If they do, then you've already been in some relationship with them. So that's what I mean by so preventable. And people get so scared. Don't be scared. Just remember my words and tell your friends. They don't know anything about me. This is just a fishing thing, seeing if I'll bite. If I don't play, they move on to the next one. VoIP calls allow them to make hundreds of thousands of calls a day free of charge anywhere in the world. With anywhere that has a data connection that
get
can say whatever they want.
To the conversation about the neighborhood,
Well, the neighborhood, you, in terms of scams or in terms of your neighborhood crime? I only could hear the end of it.
I think a number of us are just here to talk about our neighborhood.
Okay, well, I'm done in about 3 minutes and they'll talk about your neighborhood till 8, I'm sure. Okay? So anyway, that is all I have. Do you guys have any kind of questions? Yeah. That is kind of an urban legend. I've read through FBI and Krebs security, a lot of that. Oh, she was talking about a phone scam. Do you have to say yes twice for them to be able to use your voice? If I'm reading it right, to further a scam. No, that's kind of an urban legend. That thing was going around with all that. It's, if they want to capture something, it's just going to be once. And the rumors start about with where you say yes, because a lot of online payments, you have to say yes and confirm, and then it'll put it through. But I haven't really seen that much. So. Right. Yes. Just be leery about things that you don't initiate. If you didn't initiate and somebody wants money, just always assume it's a scam. And then if it's something real, you'll find out soon enough. When you go to the bank next time, they won't let you out or something like that, if you owe money, but that's it. If you get a scam like email and you don't end up sending them any money, you don't need to report it to us. I'd report it to the FTC because they're the ones that track the trends and all that. Because there's nothing, what we try to do is track money, and there's nothing for us to track. I mean, you certainly can, but I'd do the FTC more because that's where we gather our scam trend info from. Okay, thanks for your time, guys.
Our next, and we are right on time. Our next speaker is an attorney, an MBA, a mom of 3 daughters, and she's represented District 5 in City Council since 2018. Last year, she inherited us when we switched from District 10 to District 5. So please, let's welcome Amanda Sawyer.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Amanda Sawyer. I represent you on Denver City Council. Welcome to District 5. So for those of you who came in and got a slide presentation, if you would like one, you did not get one, Owen is in the back. He will give you one. Everyone remember Owen and his face. If you call our office, chances are good Owen is going to be the one that you talk to via email or via phone. He is one of my senior aides. I have 3 staff members in my office. I have a scheduling and events staff member, and then I have Owen and Matt, who split the district at Monaco. So Owen is in charge of everything west of Monaco, which is you guys, and then Matt is in charge of everything east of Monaco. All the way to the Aurora border. We have a huge district by land mass compared to some of the other districts in the city. So normally what I like to do is I like to go through our annual year in review. That's what this PowerPoint presentation is, right? We are accountable to you. So it starts with our annual survey results from last year, where we ask you, you should have got a postcard, I think right around Labor Day this year. So we ask you to tell us what you think, what your priorities are, and what your biggest concerns are in your community, and then we track that. So last year's biggest concerns were homelessness, traffic and mobility infrastructure, and crime and safety. Crime and safety was by far and away the biggest. And I will say it's really, really exciting news how much your crime rate has gone down this year in the statistical neighborhood of Country Club. This is absolutely fantastic. Crime across the city is down an average about 8%. So if you guys are down way more than 8%, that is incredible news. And that's really, really exciting. We do a lot of different things to work on the things that you care about. So you can take a look in here. I won't read it to you, to see what we're up to in the office, what we do, some programs that the police department runs that are super helpful, in supportive of our residents, including Denver Track, and 529 Garage. So Denver Track is for cars, 529 Garage is for bikes. You can register them with the Denver Police Department, and give them permission to track your vehicle if it is stolen. So if your car is stolen, you then call and you say, my car has been stolen, and they turn on whatever system is in your car, OnStar, or if your cell phone was in your car or whatever, and they can track it and they can track your car real time. You have to give them your permission to do that. But this has been a very successful program in other cities, and we're seeing that it's a very successful program here as well. There's a sticker that they give you that goes on the window of your car. And it's meant to be like an ADT system, right? So when you put an ADT sign in front of your house, thieves know just to skip that house and go to the next house over. Even if you don't have an ADT system, it's just not worth it for them. Same kind of a thing with this sticker that you get when you sign up for Denver Track. And what we have seen has been very, very successful. There have been no cars that have been stolen once registered with the program. So something that I highly recommend. Please just go through here, take a look at it. There is a link to our annual survey for 2024 if for some reason you did not get the postcard that we sent. So you can take our annual survey, use this QR code, or the link is right here, so you can type it into your phone or computer and take that before December 31st. So we give you guys plenty of time to do it. I know that you all have a number of questions about things that are going on downtown, things that are going on with the city. So I'd love to get to questions. I will just go through, let me pull it up here. One of the main pages that is in here, we do what is happening around historic driving parks. So want to just talk a little bit about that. There are 4 items on there to bring to your attention. The first one is about the election coming up in November. There is a very, very long ballot that you are going to take a look at. It is not just voting for president and vice president. It is 6 pages long, 3 pages front and back. So there are, I know it's, that was a really great face. It's huge. I recommend that you go to denvergov.org/vote, denvergov.org/vote. That's our clerk and recorder's website. There is a ton of information about each of the ballot measures. I also recommend that you read your blue book. So your blue book is sent to you by our clerks and recorder office. You'll get it in the mail about 2 weeks before the end of the election. No, about a month before the end of the election. So it's coming out soon. And it will have pros and cons statements for each of the different initiatives. So that will be helpful. This is a huge ballot. It's also really important that you vote or at least look through each of the items that are on the ballot, because there are a number of different items that are on the ballot that are really, really important. I can't tell you with this badge on what I think of all of these different items, but I do encourage you to register if you are not already registered. Vote. It's very important, and make it all the way through all 6 pages. It's going to take some time, but it's worthwhile. So the question was, what ballot number is the long one? It is there is not a number associated with it. The ballot that you are going to receive in the mail is 3 pages front and back. It is 6 pages long. Does that make sense? Yes. So the question for those of you online was, can I look ahead? And the answer is yes. You can go to denvergov.org/vote and you can look at all of the things before the blue book even comes to see what's going to be on there. Did that answer your question? Great. Second thing that I want you to know about is our sidewalk ordinance. So for those of you who have had conversations about sidewalks in our city for years, which I have, about 2 years ago, 2 Novembers ago, the voters voted on a fee for sidewalks. So historically in Denver, residents have been required to maintain and build sidewalks on your properties. So if you have a sidewalk in front of your property and it's broken down, you as the resident are required to fix it and bring it up to code and make sure people aren't tripping on it, et cetera. If you do not have a sidewalk in front of your house and you build an addition or whatever, and you spend $100,000 on your house or more, then you are also required by the city to build a sidewalk on that land. So the vote that we did 2 years ago changed all of that. Now the city is responsible for building out sidewalks. As with many things that are citizen initiated ordinances, the sidewalk initiative was not implementable and did not make any sense. So the city has spent the last 2 years working to try and get a workable solution to this problem so that we can start building your sidewalks. We're there now. For the vast majority of residents in Denver, it's going to be $150 a year fee. And then it'll come on your property taxes starting in January of 2025. It will come not on your property taxes, on your wastewater bill, sorry, starting in January of 2025. So it'll be $150. Now, do not expect that you are going to get sidewalks tomorrow if you do not have sidewalks, or if you do have a sidewalk that needs to be fixed, that it's going to be fixed tomorrow. This plan is going to take about 10 to 12 years to fully build out. And the reason for that is because we have about 3,000 miles of sidewalks in Denver that need to be fixed or built. So that is the distance from San Francisco to Boston. There's a lot of work to be done. And part of the challenge is if we were to build those out faster than 12 years, we would literally disrupt the asphalt market. And so, which is crazy, right? But true. So builders who are building homes, et cetera, wouldn't be able to get cement to build like the foundations of the homes. When I tell you this initiative was not workable, I'm not kidding. So it's going to be some time, but you will start seeing that billing coming starting in January of 2025. And like I said, it will be about $150 per household. Over the course of a year. So that wanted to give you that update. You can learn more if you want to. You can go to denvergov.org/sidewalks, denvergov.org/sidewalks. And you will be able to find out more about the changes that are made. City Council just voted on this on Monday night. It is official now. It will start in January of 2025. Yes, questions on that? Wastewater bill. Yes, I'm sorry. I was mistaken. I said property tax the first time and I lied. It's your wastewater bill that it will come on. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So originally, the sidewalk ordinance as it was written by the proponents who put it on the ballot did not go through the city. Nobody asked the city if this was okay. They put it on the ballot. That was based on, the price was based on linear footage. That is not happening anymore. What is going to happen now is it is $150 per household. That's right, with a couple of caveats for extremely large properties. But in general, it'll be $150 per household. Yes. So the question for those of you online was, is it still triggered by the $100,000 worth of investments? The answer to that is yes. So that law is still in place. So if you put $100,000 of work into your home, you will still be required to build a sidewalk. The sidewalk fee that is going to be, it's basically like, we call it an enterprise fund, right? And that goes, so all of everyone's money, $150 a year, goes into that pot. It ends up being about $40 million a year. And then that $40 million is taken and we use that money to build sidewalks across the city. The question was, are any neighborhoods exempt? No. And I will tell you, we have several neighborhoods who are very unhappy. In fact, their HOA documents, in fact, their HOA documents say that you cannot have sidewalks within some of the areas of Denver that are in District 5. That is a problem. We're going to have to cross that bridge when we get there. But at the end of the day, they're getting sidewalks. So the question was, so I think your question was, and I'm going to repeat it to you, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think your question was, if you do $100,000 worth of work on your home, does that trigger start in 2025? And the answer to that is no. That has been a law in Denver for over a decade. So this new sidewalk fee, this $150 per household per year, is totally different and separate. Does that make sense? Yeah, so for those of you online who couldn't hear that, the comment was that in this neighborhood, you have worked for many, many years to get safely to Cherry Creek, to school, to the library, et cetera, and that there has been pushback on sidewalks through neighborhoods. That's right, and that is no longer an option. So there will be a sidewalk. Denver will have a full sidewalk system eventually, right? It's not coming tomorrow, but eventually. Yes. So the question was, will the bill be incremental or a one-time fee? No, it will be $150 fee that comes on your bill. Yes, they send them out in packs of 8,000 homes. So some of you might get it in January, some of you might get it in February, some of you might get it the first week of January, some of you might get it the last week of January, some of you might not get it till April, right? But they send the bills, those wastewater bills, out in packs of 8,000. So when you get that bill, it will have that full $150 fee on it, whenever that is that you get it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know the answer to. I inherited you guys about 1.5 years ago. And so historically speaking, I don't know. I can tell you, like, for example, in Crestmore, their HOA documents specifically say no sidewalks. So I don't know if something like that exists in parts of Country Club or not. I don't know if there has just been pushback. I can't, yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. I can't answer that. It would. So the comment for those of you watching online was, would a law supersede an HOA? The answer to that is yes, if it was enforced. I don't know the backstory on whether it was enforced or not, or how. So for those of you watching online, the question was, what is the enforcement? Like, how does that work? It's complaint-based. So if you have a neighbor who is doing a very large piece of construction on their house and they are not building a sidewalk in, you call 311, you report that. so that an inspector can come out and take a look, and that's how it's enforced. It's complaint-based. And I will tell you, there are some exceptions to this, right? So like, for example, Mile High somebody or other, a nonprofit, does like a house giveaway every year, right? And so I lived down the street from one of those houses that was about 5 years, that was the Mile High whatever house 5 years ago. They did not have to put in the sidewalk when they built the house. So there are some exceptions to it. So everything is case-based, yeah. Yes. Yeah, thank you for the question. I'm just gonna repeat it. So the question was, are all the sidewalks gonna be concrete? The answer to that is no. There are some beautiful old flagstone sidewalks in Denver that we want to maintain. So that is all going to be paid for out of this fund. Replacing those is gonna be paid for out of this sidewalk fund. Other questions on that? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the same as Crestmore. Yeah, it's a great question. So for those of you watching at home, the comment was, we live in Country Club on a dead end street with 2 houses. We don't need sidewalks. We don't want sidewalks, and our HOA documents say no sidewalks. That is going to be between you and the city's lawyers. Other questions? Yes. Yeah. I know, I sat in that today. Yeah, so wait, hold on. Can I just repeat that for the people online who couldn't hear? Great. So the comment that you didn't hear was, what is going on with the crazy drivers and the amount of traffic in your neighborhood? There is a petition that is being brought by some residents to petition for speed bumps in the neighborhood. So do you have information for me to pass on to them on where they could sign that petition if they want to? Tell me your name. John, contact John Angelo. He has a petition he is putting together to petition for speed bumps in your neighborhood. Now, John, I will tell you to answer your question, a couple of different things. So first and foremost, the city of Denver did not formerly allow speed bumps of any kind. So if you see speed bumps in like Stapleton or whatever we call it now, Central Park or over in Lowry, right? Those are private streets and those have been put in by the developer, right? 3 weeks ago, the city and county of Denver changed their policy. And now speed bumps are considered an option for traffic calming in the city and county of Denver. This is brand new as of 3 weeks ago. So, I love that you're putting together a petition. I would be happy to get it in the hands of the right person when it's fully signed and you've got all the signatures of your neighbors who would like to sign it. Thank you for putting that together. I want to set your expectations. It's budget week. The mayor released his budget last Thursday and gave us 8 business hours to look through an 800-page financial document before budget hearings started on Monday morning. That is by design, 100%. And so we have been sitting in budget hearings all week this week. The city is $40 million over budget for 2025. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I will say it's incredibly frustrating to watch the number of people blow through stop signs because that is wholly unnecessary and inappropriate. And that is like, come on, you could stop at a stop sign. Like, let's all take a little bit of personal responsibility here and stop at the stop signs. Unfortunately, we just don't have the police department staffing to be able to cover traffic stops like that. It's something that they're not going to enforce right now. And so it's become like the Wild West on our streets. I hear you. I live it every day. I feel you. So thank you for putting together that petition, and please send it to our office so that we can get it in the hands of Dottie, and see if we can push that along. I do want to set your expectations. There is no extra work coming in 2025. All the way in the back first. Yes. Yeah, it's a great question. Do you mind if I just repeat it for people watching online? So the question was, is there a way for residents to be aware of what is going on in Cherry Creek and the surrounding areas so that you know and can be prepared for kind of additional traffic and changes to traffic patterns and things like that? The answer to that is no. It's a problem. It's a problem we're working to fix right now. I acknowledge that. And here's why. Denver City Council is the legislative branch of government, right? It's like the federal government. There's a Supreme Court, there's a president, and there's Congress. We're like Congress, right? We make the laws for the city and county of Denver. We also act as community liaisons. That's why I'm here tonight. We're happy to do that. We are a customer service agency, but we don't get notified by the city agencies when something goes through a city agency. So if there's a developer who files for a permit to build a Waldorf Astoria on second whatever in Cherry Creek, we don't ever know about that. We don't see permits that come through. If the only thing city council sees is if it's a rezoning, it will come to us, and we as the land use commissioners make the decision on whether it's appropriate rezoning or not. But like if it is a use, what we call use by right. So if their zoning already allows them to build it, like that's the case with the Waldorf Astoria, right? They're building it. They have 5-story zoning. They're building 5 stories. They are allowed to do that. City council doesn't ever see that. We're trying to push really hard to get the city agencies to do something different so that there's like an open source information page where you as residents can go to and figure out what is going on there. It does not exist right now. It doesn't. And I'll tell you, it's as frustrating for us as it is for you because we don't know either. And then we get phone calls from residents like, what is going on? And we're like, we don't know. And then we have to track down that information because it doesn't come to city council. It goes straight to the city agencies. It's dealt with in the city agencies, which all report to the mayor's office, and we do not ever see it. So I'm sorry about that. I acknowledge that it's a problem, but unfortunately, it's not a problem that is solvable at the moment. I will say, we try as hard as we can to let people know what's going on in our newsletter. So if you're not signed up for our newsletter, we send it on the 15th of every month. And we try and put as much information as we can in there on projects that are going on around town, on rezonings that are coming through city council, on events that are happening, all of those different kinds of things. We have about 10,000 people on our newsletter list. We have about a 53% average month over month open rate. So we know that a lot of people are getting that information. So we're always trying to put good information on there. It's my best recommendation. You can always call us and ask too. But at the end of the day, unless it's a rezoning, we don't know about it either. And it's incredibly frustrating. I hear you. I just got the hook from Betsy. There's someone with her hand raised. Can I do one more? Okay, fast. I think we're not getting the information from city agencies about 6,000. I think our ask might be, then can you legislate the other side? That's what we're, yeah, so let me just repeat that. So the question was, is there a way to legislate around that problem? The answer is maybe. We are working on it right now. It's something that we're working on. That's a question for our Department of Transport. The question was, can we get lit up stop signs? We are happy to pass that request along to our Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. At the end of the day, the answer is not in 2025, we're $40 million over budget. Yes. Yeah, yes, Betsy, do you want me to answer this or? Yes, thank you. Yeah, and they are not required to.
I'm really sorry, but
Thank
it
you
is,
all so much. It was
it
good
is
to see you.
7:36 and I
Thank
still
you,
have
Betsy.
1 minute worth of things to say. Our goal was to be done on time and we're just slightly over, but we've had some really good questions. My first comment is to thank you to the Community Church of Christ and to Monica and Ron Argetsinger for making this space available to us. So that's the first thing. I want to thank all of our speakers. I want to thank my board for like helping put this on. And I want to thank most of all of you for coming and most of you for paying your dues. We really appreciate that. Watch for our event signs are coming up. You can click on the QR code. It'll tell you more about the Fall Festival. We also have a happy hour that's going to be on November 7th at Novo after hours, and we will communicate that in the future. With that, I adjourn the meeting and I say, thank you all again for coming.